So I'm planning, we'll see how this goes, planning on doing a few vids tonight. And the first one, well, let's do this one. So there's a parking lot in Belgium, and it supposedly produces 20 megawatts of clean energy at peak. Remember, that's at peak, yeah? Ideal sunny conditions, blah, 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 and all the rest of it, yeah? But the point is, car parks. Why the hell no? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Leave arable farmland alone. And notice, where these places get it, they realise there's a balance. If you're focused on voltaic cells, whatever, fine. But don't put it on arable farmland. This is part of the eugenics brigade. Yeah, you look at that Mad Ed Miliband. Yeah, and they're literally taking over thousands of acres of farmland. And while some people say, but it's only a small percentage of farmland at the moment, Scott, that'll get expanded. Yeah, what the hell is wrong with putting them in car parks? By the way, all council buildings, every single bloody one of them, make sure there's plenty of that on the bloody roofs. Yeah? Leave arable farmland alone. Now, in this one, it says it's enough power in this particular example to power 40,000 homes. Let's just say 20,000 homes, right? Fair enough? Why not? Lowering or producing electricity without bird blenders, otherwise known as, well, wind farms. You've got to hand it. Who came up with that one? Because the tiny IQs that are embracing this these days, wind farms. Mind you, I still think that's down to the Teletubbies, and, I remember occasionally, because I don't watch TV, but, you go to a client's house in the past or whatever, and, you'd have that nonsense in the background, which I honestly thought was dumbing down, not just of the children, but the adults as well, and there's some, I remember it was the Emmy, and there's some statue, some modern art, and it just looks like something out the Teletubbies. And you see these monstrosities kicking about, but it's to get people used to this kind of like a normalization of ugly architecture, where normally there was, nature, genuine nature, rural aspects, trees, all the rest of it. No, it's people have been groomed into this idea that, look, if we just cover the world in solar panels, we'll never have to worry again about energy. Even although I keep saying, we cracked the bloody atom. Seriously. And I always question, what was it with CND and everybody else and all the rest of it, And they gave examples like, Chernobyl. How many times have they done little stories about that? Oh my God, anything that goes near it, just, But think about it. It has worked for decades in so many places. Yes, you have to store it and all the rest of it, but hey, American military, their idea of storing it was depleted uranium shells. And nobody ever actually thought too much about that. Its effects on, for example, Iraq. All these, because the density of this stuff in the form of a ballistic, projectile, hitting tanks and all the rest of it, phenomenal damage, unbelievable heat generated, all the rest of it. But as it penetrates, a lot of it turns to dust. And of course, that's got a half-life at X, Y, and Z, and they were using this to quite literally, it wasn't just Iraq, was it? There was other places. And then you started seeing, well, what happened to the children, the birth defects, all the rest of it. No, we're dealing with absolute insanity here. And we really need to start looking at this. But if you are determined to think that, well, the solution to this is, just cover areas of land and solar panels because, hey, it's so much better for the environment. But you're never going to sell this to the masses that, well, actually, nuclear energy, proven technology, that bloody well works. Really works. And you think naively that if people embrace that more and perfected things, it's the way to go. But no, the demonisation. Look at the SNP in Scotland. Oh, no, we're not up for nuclear power. We're up for bird blenders. We're up for cutting down trees, millions. What was it the SNP sanctioned to get cut down between, 2001, 2, and now, about 17 million trees? And people could counter that with, well, it's still only a small percentage of the amount of trees in Scotland, Scott. Yeah. The point is, it flies in the face of anything to do with genuine embracement of our lands and wild and nature and all that kind of thing. And I keep telling people, they may sound like Care Bears and you keep talking about nature first, nature. But when nature comes before humanity and all the rest of it, you've got to start realizing these nature worshippers are, they see us as surplus to requirements. There are so many examples, even in movies, where there's a lot of lovely, pleasant land, but not a lot of us in there. And that's the way to go. In all these dystopian movies that, people cuddle up, it's like comfort cover. I mean, remember, Blade Runner was a dystopian movie, but lots of people were like sucking their thumb about it and, well, if you're a robot, you can live forever and you've got massive strength and you've not got issues about health and all the rest of it. And then over time, people say, yeah, I'd absolutely love to have my mind transferred into something more robotic and all. I mean, I know I need to do this again. It's just the sheer magnitude of where we're going. Because, I heard, about a week ago or less, they're talking about, within 5 years anyway, that robots will be working alongside police. I put UK police to work alongside robots because, seriously, ultimately they'll phase out police. Now, either way, they'll phase out police. And, the initial plan, United Nations-wise, and certain documentation, was to replace police across the world with UN troops. Yeah? But you've still got to feed them, and you've still got to humour them, and you've still got to, But ultimately, look, iRobot, Elysium, Star Trek, Data, there's many other examples, and people are like, oh, smartest thing in the room. And they're so human. Remember Data, one of the episodes where the woman says, are you fully functional? Oh, yeah, I'm fully functional. I can perform sex acts, basically, blah, blah, blah. You had to dumb down society beyond belief to even think that was a great option. Yeah. And you're right, I'm off at so many tangents. But it's ultimately a death cult. And by hook or by crook, they are absolutely up for destroying the vast majority of us. Yeah. And look at the account elite. Yeah, fuck it. I'd rather have robots to serve me, a few humans kicking about, especially for hunting purposes, But other than that, man is something to be overcome. Remember, that's an occultist belief. Man is something to be overcome. And they've been doing a good job of that over the last few decades especially, yeah? But all the movies, and people think this is a good thing. And if people are saying, oh, look, this is pie in the sky, even though, like, LBC's talking about it, I think somewhere I saw Daily Mail, I think somewhere else, it was, Sky News, GB News, etc., etc. None of that stuff exists, Scott. It bloody well does, and it's only to get better. Here is one example, Ross Components, which I signed up for their newsletter a number of years ago. But, and then even think about music. Humanoids. Remember all that stuff? I could find the track. Humanoid. Trying spelling, Scott. Yeah. Tune. That one. Stalker humanoid. Stacker humanoid? Humanoid. Stuff like that, honestly, lower the IQ, get them less interested in, well, good God, could you imagine, like, Gen, whatever now, even listening to, like, 70s disco, various other aspects of, like, you know, name some groups from the 70s and early 80s. I think, honestly, it went to shit pretty much after that, by and large, with few exceptions, but replaced by all this, you know, beat per minute. And then, of course, feed them full of shite. And, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's another reason why they got them into, well, amphetamine-based stimulants and clubs and all the rest of it. There's a level to this, honestly, and you just see the shit show. Seriously, that stuff exists already, and only to be better. You know? Humanoids. Oh, I mean, there's other things. I mean, you know, they've got it all covered. You know, you've got your dogs, because, hey, they're going after dogs. They're literally going after anything that breathes or lives at all. Anything that breathes. Yeah. That's why I keep saying to people, if you haven't read That Hideous Strength, and it's some of the characters in there and where they want to go in the long term. It's anti-life itself. And remember, this was written in the early 40s, but possibly came out 44, 45, but I'm sure it was written 43, 44. But anyway, and of course there was a previous couple of books, Out the Silent Planet, Paralandra, but you can read That Hideous Strength on its own. But, I mean, imagine that. It just add a gun to the top of these things. Seriously. I mean, can you imagine the sensors, infrared, you name it. You couldn't hide. And they'll give it large till their batteries run out. Yeah? Or others charged in areas. Maybe, you know, vans full of them with vast battery packs. So one fucks off, or a bunch of them fuck off chasing you, while others are getting charged. And as that, you know, that lot get low on power, they run back. Others are fully charged, go after you. There is no end to where this goes, but the apathy is astounding. But let's get to humanoids. How about the R1, available on back order, right? So the basic is this. Look at this, yeah? Seriously, yeah? Then go, oh, you want to get more advanced? Oh, you want, you know, level 2? Here, have level 3. Level 4. Oh, now we're talking. How about level 5? Blah, blah, blah. This is happening in real time. All of this, between the bird blenders on the hillside, the cutting down of so many trees, the destruction of arable farmland, the putting of solar panels on arable farmland, and of course over time, the crap that's from these things sink into the earth. So even if you take them away at some point, you're still screwed because you'll not be able to grow anything. This is an interconnected death cult. In every aspect of what you see, they're an interconnected death cult. And most people are still thinking this is great. Yeah, think of RoboCop. Oh, what a great guy. Oh, that's the future. We need this guy. Yeah? Out with tragedy, wonderful things happen. Honestly. Seriously. I'll leave you a link to that. Sign up to it. If you don't believe me, sign up for their newsletter and just watch as they advance. It's just but one example. Seriously. Humanoids, that was R1. Let's go for G1. Yeah. Yes, indeed. They're even dropping hints here. Yeah? Seriously. Because initially it'll be UN troops in your 15-minute cities and 20-minute neighbourhoods. But hey, you've got to feed them all the rest, and of course, you want something that has no feeling, any kind of emotion at all the rest of it, and all it needs is recharge now and again. And then, run by AI. They really aren't playing about here. Yeah, 47,000 euros, 59,000 euros. And the thing about how many wealthy people initially be going, yeah, instead of having to humour my security and all the rest of it, and pay them a salary and pension plan and all the rest of it, and fully trust them, I'll go for one of these. Yeah. It's big business and dystopian futures. Big business. Anyway, as always, I could do a much better job, but it's the enormity of what I'm seeing come in. Seriously. So you'll be like, Scott, you started off talking about solar panels and now you're off doing this. It all ties in, seriously. You are dealing with an interconnected death cult that owns pretty much everywhere in the world. We're no longer needed. They're going for this new Eden come whatever else, this Luciferian blah blah blah. But hey, so few people care. And not that much of the alternative media is talking about any of this. Yeah? This is not like conspiracy theory. It's right there in front of you. But hey. Anyway, you've been great company, and I'll speak to you soon.